Hello, my name is Savannah Myers, and I'm going to be talking about the orchestra concert I attended on November 28th at 7 p.m. in the Moody Music Building. Before I begin, I just want to mention that I did write notes on my computer and will be frequently looking at my left to refer to them. So I want to start discussing the concert by going through all the songs, not all of them, but just, select a few. The first song, well, I came in a little late, so I did run into the middle of it. I noticed it was very exciting and adventurous. It jumped up and down from being soft and joyful, nothing crazy, to very big and dramatic, and I could see it being played during a ballroom scene in some movie. It just gave a very classical vibe. The third song, as I like to call it, not entirely sure, but it was kind of towards the middle. An absolutely gorgeous song. It began with a solo by the first violinist, and the conductor said that he dedicated this song to his recently passed away grandfather. He died of a very sudden death, very, very recently, I believe, like before the Thanksgiving break. So it was pretty sudden for him. But it's called Token Farewell. That's the title of the song, and it comes from the Civil War. And I believe that it gave a very sentimental and memorable feeling, especially with the slower tempo and the slurred notes, very graceful. And other instruments like the flutes I noticed, they were giving a very delightful shimmer to the song, which I really liked. That was towards the end of the song. The last song, I don't know if it was the last song, but it was towards the end. It started off with trumpets. They seemed like they were giving some sort of awakening to a camp full of soldiers. And then it stepped down with intensity a bit, and it made me feel like I was being flown over like glorious mountains, if you understand what I'm trying to say there. And about over a minute into the song, the cellos and the violas, they were giving a short marching-like kind of tune while the violins were playing the vocals. Very smooth kind of vocal is what I'd like to call it. The brass instruments began with another big calling, not as intense as the first one though, and then it stepped down again with the intensity with the strings. And afterwards, like after a few repetitive things with that, I noticed that it was kind of like a modern day song, as we recently talked about in lectures, with verses and choruses. What I saw was a whole array of strings that includes the first, second violins, the cellos, the violas, the basses, and then also a decent amount of band instruments, as I like to call it. So brass instruments, flutes. I don't know if there were any clarinets there. That would be kind of interesting. There was a percussionist that came in. There were cymbals as well. So definitely a lot of different instruments came into play here. The conductor, I noticed, wasn't using super over-exaggerated movements to lead the orchestra most of the time. And I personally don't find that necessary anyway, so I thought that was pretty cool of him. And then the performers, they definitely enjoyed playing. Something I noticed with the solo violinist in that farewell song that was dedicated to the grandfather, she got very nervous, and I noticed that when her bow started bouncing up and down just a bit. That's personally how I get when playing the violin, very shaky, and then my bow starts to bounce, even though the hairs are pretty loose. So with that event, nothing was very new to me. I've been playing the violin for 10 years, so it's also the reason why I came to this orchestra concert, is because I knew everything would be very familiar, I would enjoy it, and I definitely did. But my reaction, I originally found it a pain to go to the concert. Once I was there, I was settled. I really enjoyed it, especially with the gorgeous songs that they were playing. I thought it would be more of like a chamber orchestra, something quite small, quite challenging. I believe, like, the songs were also very challenging that they were playing, but there was just a lot of out-of-tune moments that I noticed within the orchestra where they could have just been a little bit more together. But I believe at the end of the concert, the conductor did say that they only met up once a week since August, so I'll give them a break there. But overall, it was a great concert, a little out of tune here and there, but I really enjoyed it. Thank you.